Hi everybody, my name is Noelle Mosier. I am the creator and author of the Kuntry Klucker vlog, and this video is for two posts in my blog. One, it's prefab versus hand-built coops, and the now updated a case for prefab coops. Alright, this will be a video tour of my backyard, of all my coops, prefab including stick built. And I'll just show you and tell you about these coops as I pass them, how long I've had them, and how they're holding up years on. So I'm just going to go down the line. I've got about 7, so y'all might want to sit down and grab some coffee or something for a little bit. Okay, the first coop I come to is Henwarts. This is the newest of my prefab coops. It is a Tractor Supply coop. And as the name suggests, all of the residents are named after Harry Potter characters in the very famous book series. And so this is Henwarts, you know, a chicken take on Hogwarts. Currently, it is being used as a hatch out for Miss Donna. She is raising 3 chicks for me. Hi there, sweetheart. This is Miss Donna. She's got 3 chicks that she's raising for me, and so I'm putting her in here so she can kind of have her own space. So Harry and Hermione and everybody else will be back in here a little later. This is the newest of my prefab coops. It is a large coop. One thing that I will say about prefab coops is they do come painted, or aka stained. But if you want to preserve the wood, you do need to paint these coops. These are painted with an outdoor latex and oil-based paint. The blue is latex. The white you see here on the trim is an oil-based paint. The oil-based paint just beads off the water. And so this one has 2 years underneath its belt. And as you can see, I have very large landscaping timbers that it's sitting on. These are, a lot of times you'll find these around flower beds. Sometimes you'll see them at the community parks around a swing set to keep the mulch inside. So these are these big landscaping timbers. These are 4x4s. They're treated. And as you can see, the coop just rests right on top of those big landscaping timbers. And so with 4-inch screws, you know, screws that are about, you know, yay big, wood screws, deck screws, I just simply attach this coop to this very heavy 4x4, and it gives it a lot more stability. But even on its own, these coops are pretty strong, and it would take a pretty good wind event in order to actually tear them down or knock them over. But this 4x4 just gives it a little extra security, a little extra grounding. So this is Henwarts. The next one we come to is the Kuntry Klucker. This is the one that I built. For me, it was very difficult because I'm not a woodworker. I'm not a carpenter. I did not have any woodworking or carpentry skills before I tackled this. And I did the best I could. As you can even see here, I really didn't put a proper roof on it because I have absolutely no idea how to do a roof. So it has just got these 2x4s as a roof, and then it's got this heavy wire, and then I've got 2 very, very thick, heavy tarps on top that I affixed to the top of it to basically give them shelter. Other people would have probably done a much better job, but for me, knowing absolutely nothing but the fact that I wanted chickens, this is what I came up with. I love it though. It's big, it's roomy. Would I build one from scratch again? No, because I really do not have the skills for it. This is just my attempt to make a coop. This one is 10 years old. As of this past April, it was 10. So as you can see, I've got the coop here, and then up here I have the trusses with wire on top to keep predators from flying in. And I have 2 very, very thick tarps on top. And this here is just a potting shelf like normal people use to make, you know, fill flower pots and so on and so forth. I've used it for kind of like my little nesting box center. Plus, if I need to treat any of my birds for anything, this is kind of like my medical table. I know, it's pretty hilarious. And this is their nesting boxes. They have 3. And then, of course, here's their feeder. It's a trindle feeder. And this is the one that you just simply step on the pedal and, you know, the feed is exposed. Rat proof, bird proof, everything proof. So, anyway, this is the Kuntry Klucker. So, I'm going to go and take you over to the next coop. Okay, so we have 2 down. All right. The next coop we have here is the Coupe de Ville. As you can tell, this is a coop that I had started, but I didn't put a pin on it like this one here. This is just like an outdoor aviary type pin. So the pin that these guys actually have is below the coop. So down here is where their pin is. This one is just a double door in the back. So I've got 2 French doors style here, you know, one that swings open this way, like this. They too have a rat-proof trindle feeder. And the other one just kind of swings over this way. That's their roosts at night. This is another one that I had started, much like the style of the Klucker here. But instead of doing the pin, I just simply wrapped the bottom of it in hardware cloth, and I just used, there you go, some of them are using the feeder. And I just wrapped the outside in chicken wire to give them both an outdoor and an indoor pin. This was another creation. Pretty much using up the spare wood that I had when I made the Klucker, so I just turned it into the Coupe de Ville. This is a Bachelor Pin. These are my 4 breeding white crested Polish roosters. These guys live here by themselves. There are 4 roosters in here, and as you can tell, they get along just fine. So extra roosters, I simply just put in a Bachelor Pin. These guys are used for breeding. Because I breed white crested Polishes. They are my absolutely favorite breed, so I breed them. And so this is my breeding stock. These are the males. You'll meet the females here in a little bit. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3 coops down. The next one we come to is the Crucible. This is the newest of my coops. This is a prefab coop. This is probably a medium size. This is housing silky breeding roosters. My son likes to breed his silkies. I'm just moving this little thing because this is just for shade. But okay, so this is my silky breeding roosters, and this is the coop, which is called the Crucible. This too is a prefab coop. This is probably more of a medium size. So this is where 4 silky roosters live, and this is the one we just added this year. It's just months old. The hen warts, as you can see, is about 2 years, going on 3. All right, the next coop we come to is the Tortoise. This houses silkies. So I've got my son has his girls in here, plus a couple roosters. He is a Doctor Who fan, so he wanted to paint and artistically decorate his box to match the TARDIS in the TV show. So if there are any Doctor Who fans out there, you probably know exactly what that is. This too is apparently from Doctor Who too, the Crucible, something about a Dalek spaceship. So yeah, so I'm not too, I mean, I've seen the episodes, but I'm not as wild and crazy as my son is. But it's a good series nonetheless. And here too, this one is, let's do this one first. See here too, this one is sitting on those big landscaping timbers. So I've got all my prefabs. This one too, sitting on these big landscaping timbers. And of course they are all screwed into these large timbers. These timbers do a couple things. One, it keeps the coop from sinking into the mud. And being that it's treated wood, it can handle the moisture a lot better than these coops, although they are painted with an outdoor paint. and 2, it gives it stability. So should you get some winds, some nasty winds, it gives it some grounding. So these coops are affixed to these really, really large landscaping timbers. Depending on the size of the coop, sometimes I have 2, sometimes 3. So this one's sitting on 3 of them. So this is the Tortoise. This is Betsy's Bliss. This one was in my spice garden, but I've moved it because I wanted to plant some more berry bushes. So this is over here. This one too is sitting on the big landscaping timbers. And so this is probably the smallest one of my prefab coops. This one is, I want to say 6 years old. And it is my broody breaker. So when I have a hen that goes broody, and a lot of times when they go broody, what they do is they sit in the nesting boxes and then they chase all the other chickens away that want to come lay in the nesting box, and it can kind of be a problem. So if I've got a hen that is broody and then being overly aggressive, what I'll do is I'll put her in here, and over the course of about a week, maybe 2, she'll kind of go back to her normal behavior where she's not chasing everybody off of the nesting boxes and everything and trying to roll all the eggs underneath of her to sit on them. So this is my broody breaker. This is used every once in a while. It's just enough room for one hen. Up in the top here is where they have the food and the water. And of course they'll roost up here at night. And of course this is just the pen there. This is just big enough for one rooster. Or so not one rooster, but one hen. So this is the Tortoise and Betsy's Bliss. So we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now this is my oldest prefab coop. This is the Bantam Boutique. As you can see, it's also sitting on the large landscaping timbers. This has the white crested Polish girls, and I also have some cochins in here, some frizzle cochins and some smooth cochins. So these are the girls that I breed with the white crested Polish roosters over there that you saw in the Coupe de Ville. So these are the girls. I have 4 of them right now, and the chicks that Miss Donna is raising over here are white crested Polishes, because I just wanted more white crested Polishes. So this is the female stock, and then over there in the Coupe de Ville is the male stock. So this is the Bantam Boutique. It too is sitting on large landscaping timbers. It is the oldest of my coops, and it is 5 years old. It is painted with a oil-based paint that just beads off the water. As you can see, for 6 years old, it is holding up really, really well. I have no problems with its structure. And it too is sitting on very large landscaping timbers. The roof on these shingle roofs hold up very well. I have not had to do anything to this roof in the past 6 years, and as you can tell, it sits out here. It gets snow, it gets hail, it gets sun, it gets ice, and so it is doing very good. I do repaint these coops about every year, every other year depending on the need. I shall let you see the inside. This is the inside of it. So it holds up really well, and I do use, now one thing I did mention is I like to update the latches. This is an example of the original latch that this coop came with. For all intended purposes, it's fine. But I live out in the country, so I have some pretty crafty predators around here, coons being one of them. Coons can do these latches. They're not too troubled by these. These, they have a hard time doing. So this is what I use when I talk about updating the latches. It's these that I put on all of my coops. All of my doors will have these on here. So it'll have the barrel latch. It'll have the latches that it came with. This one, this one, this one. But I add these what I call predator-proof latches. The Tortoise is the same. It came with the barrel latches, one on each side, but I went ahead and put one in the middle with these lobster claw, or whatever you call these little things. It just gives the coop just a bit more security. another set of latches that the predator will have to go through, because coons can work these pretty easily, and these are pretty small for the size of the door that this is supposed to be keeping closed. And so living in the country, I have a little bit more predators around here, so I just put these on all my coops. I have been keeping chickens for 10 years, and I have never ever had a predator get into any of my prefab coops. Now, I do have the entirety of my backyard enclosed with a 6-foot privacy fence. This does probably knock down quite a few predators that would be visitors to my coops, but I still live in the country, so I still have coons and possums and skunks and foxes and hawks and owls, and so far none of those have ever gotten into my coops or even attempted. So these prefab coops are good coops for your chickens. They will need some updated latches. They will need to be set on landscaping timbers. It just keeps the moisture away from the coop itself, so I put it on these big landscaping timbers that are designed and treated to be dealing with the moisture. So this is my backyard. This is what I like to call the Coop-hood. You know, a little play on the word neighborhood. You know, I've got a Coop-hood here. And there's probably some other, I'm going to show you my Grape Arbor. This is for another post, but I'm just going to tack it on here just in case people are interested. This is Grape Arbor we put up not too long ago. Now, my husband pretty much built this for me and my son because I have no business using power tools, which I learned about 10 years ago. So they did this for me. This is my Mother's Day / Christmas / birthday / I've wanted this all my life. So this is a Grape Arbor. And of course underneath I have suspended these hammock swings, or hammock chairs, or floating chairs, whatever you want to call them. I guess this is a 4x6 beam, and that's a 4x4. And so my boys built this for me. This is my dream that I've wanted for nearly all my life. And then I got my berry rose, and over here is the butterfly bush row. But anywho, this is the Coop-hood. Only 2 of these 7, 8 coops are hand built by me about 10 years ago. And I'm not a skilled woodworker, so I wanted coops, but I knew that I just couldn't do it again. So I started looking at these prefab coops against better judgment of my poultry keeping counterparts, but for me it has been the answer. So I've had no problems with them. They hold up well. Predator wise, I've had no issues, and I live in the country. Weather wise, I've had no issues, and I live in the steamy south, so we get pretty much the worst of everything. And through all that, I have a Coop-hood here. And my prefabs hold up just as well as my hand-built coops, these 2 here that I built 10 years ago. My oldest prefab coop has 6 years underneath its belt. The youngest prefab coop has not even 1, which is the Crucible, but the youngest large one is Henworth, and it has now got 2 years underneath its belt. And it's holding up just fine. I've got no issues. I will say paint the wood. A lot of these coops come out of the box with either a stain or what looks like a paint. It's really not. It's more of a primer. So the wood is ready for you to put whatever paint you want on the coops. Had I not painted these prefab coops, they would have most definitely crumbled to the ground by now. Use a outdoor paint, oil-based paint, latex-based paint, and then on top of that, I do put a clear coat, water seal, Thompson's water seal. There's other ones that you can use, and that just pretty much seals the wood and keeps the water and the moisture from penetrating it. I've had absolutely no problems. And so for those who want to have chickens, and if you're like me, building a coop sounds like a fun idea until you do it and find out that maybe I shouldn't have done this, prefab coops are an option. A lot of people will tell you not to do them, that they're bad, that they don't hold up, but I'm here to give a bit of a different opinion. And so I guess it's one of those things where you either like them or you hate them. For me, I like them because I love chickens, but my woodworking skills are an endangerment to myself. So, I mean, I like my coop. I think I did a really good job for someone who just has absolutely no experience with woodworking before. So this was my first and my last woodworking project. I think I'll just stick to, something that requires a screwdriver and some simple assembly for me. But, well, anyway, this is my take. This is my story. This is my coop-hood. I hope that it's helped some people. Maybe put a little bit of apprehensions at bay, that there are other options out there. You don't have to build your coop, especially if you're like me, and it is just not the gift. So if you have any questions or comments, just please, just type them down there in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Well, from the Kuntry Klucker farm, we're gonna bid you adieu. Bye.